Hello, fifth grade. Today we are starting Unit 7. We are skipping Unit 6 for right now. We will come back to it if we have time. But Unit 7 and 8 have some really important things that we need to get to before map testing starts. So I wanted to go ahead and skip ahead to those, and then we can come back to Unit 6 later if we have time after we finish Unit 7 and 8. So today we are starting our very first lesson of Unit 7. It is Lesson 7.1. And it is over read and write expressions. So today we are talking about expressions, how to read them and how to write them. I will tell you, you have some key words over here on your notebook divider. So keywords for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. These are going to be very, very helpful. So if you are at home right now, when you return to school, you need to make sure that you grab a notebook divider for Unit 7 because these keywords are going to be very helpful to you as we work through expressions today and on the later lessons in Unit 7. So I'm going to be coming back to my divider several times so that you can see those keywords as we go through. First, at the top of our notes, there are just some examples of an expression. An expression is just this. It's like a little equation, but there's no equal sign. It just kind of tells me what I would do with some numbers. We do not actually solve it. An expression is just to look at because there's no equals. If there was an equal sign, then I know I need to find the answer. But if there's no equal sign, I don't need to be finding the answer for it. So, for instance, this expression says 3.5 plus 6.3. This one says 10 minus 2. This one says 1/2. Remember, the dot is times P, and then 14 divided by 4. Sometimes we will have numbers. Sometimes you'll see some letters in there. So these are expressions. We can also say them in words. So whenever I have to put an expression into words, I just pretend like I'm telling someone else what to do for that, and that's how I put it into words. So if I was trying to tell someone what to do for this, I would say add 3.5 and 6.3. If I was looking for a keyword to tell them how to do that, remember I could look over here and I could use any of these addition keywords. Or the next one, if I'm telling them how to do this, I would say subtract 2 from 10. Now notice on subtraction, when we say it in words, we kind of have to flip these backwards. So be careful of that. Subtract 2 from 10. If I needed to know what word I should use, I could look over here and I could use any of these. I could have said like 10 minus 2, or I could have said what is the difference between 10 and 2. So you can say it in lots of different ways. This is just giving you an example. For this one, if I was trying to tell someone, I could say multiply P by 1/2. Or if I wanted to use a different keyword, I might say take 1/2 times P, or find the product of 1/2 NP. So you can say it lots of different ways. There's not just one right answer. I just have to make sure that I use the right numbers and the right keywords. And finally up here they have divide 14 by 4 because that's how I would tell someone to do that. So that's what we're working on today. We're going to work on writing these expressions and also putting them into words. We are not solving them. You're not finding the answer because there's no equal sign. They don't want you to solve them. So let's do some examples down here. This says write an expression for the words. So they're going to give it to me in words and I have to write it with numbers and symbols. Number 1 says find the product of 12 and 0.1. Well, I like to find my numbers first. So I'm going to be using those two numbers. And then I need to find my keyword because that's going to tell me what operation I'm supposed to do. I notice that product is a keyword. And if I look back over here onto my divider with my keywords, I notice that product means to multiply. So I know I should be multiplying on this one. So if I'm going to write that out as an expression, I would just put 12 times 0.1. And that's it. I'm not solving it. I'm not putting equals because it's just an expression. All right, let's look at number 2. Subtract 2/3 from 3.5. So first I circle my numbers just so I don't forget what numbers I have. Then I look for that keyword. This one's pretty straightforward. Subtract tells me I need to subtract. But remember, subtraction's a little bit tricky because when I put it in words, I have to switch them. So when I put it with numbers, I have to switch it back. The big number has to be written down first whenever I'm actually doing it. So I need to put 3.5 minus 2/3. Subtraction's the only one that's tricky like that. We have to switch it when we put it in words or when we put it back to numbers. And finally, number 3, add 14 and T. So circle my numbers. This time it has a letter, but that's okay. And then I look for my keyword. This one's also pretty straightforward. Add, which means I need to do addition. So to put that with an expression, I would just put 14 plus T. Now notice when I wrote T, I made it curvy at the bottom. We need to keep those lowercase. That's how letters work in math. The only uppercase letter in math is the R for remainder. So these have to be lowercase, but make sure that it looks like a T and not like a plus sign or something. All right, scooching on down. It says write the computation in words. So now we're going to go backwards. They're going to give us the expression. I'm going to put it into words. So I need to put this into words. Remember, pretend like you're telling someone what they need to do. So I know I'm subtracting. I'm going to look over here at my subtraction keywords to kind of get an idea of what I want to use. I might use subtracted from. I kind of like that one. And remember, I have to switch the order on these. So I'm going to put the smaller number first. 2.25. And then I said I'm going to use subtracted from. 7.5. And that's it. Number 5, here is my expression. I need to put it into words, and I notice that I'm adding, so I might want to look at my addition keywords and see what I would do there. I'm just going to use plus this time. I'm just going to make it simple. B plus 9. That's it. Now remember, there's other ways that I could have written it. I could have put like added to, so I might say 9 added to B, or B added to 9. Or sum is a keyword for addition, so I could have said find the sum of B and 9. Lots of ways you can write it. You just have to make sure that you choose the right keywords to do so. And number 6, I see that I'm doing division, so I'm going to look for some division keywords. I kind of like quotient. I think I'm going to use that one for this. So I might say something like find the quotient of 1.6 and 0.2. Remember, there are lots of ways that I could have written that. I could have said like 1.6 divided by 0.2. I'm just trying to explain to someone in words how they would do that expression. And you have those keywords. Now, if you're at home, you might need to rewatch the video and kind of pause it like right now so that you can see those keywords if you're working on your assignment. So remember that you can do that. Now, I'm going to flip my page. We have one more thing to cover today as well. These expressions have more than one operation. So those were pretty simple. We were just like adding on one or subtracting on one. Sometimes they might have more than one thing going on. And when they have more than one thing going on, we have to remember the order of operations because this tells us what we can do first, then what we do, then what we do, then what we do. And the book kind of has it like this, which is fine. It's the exact same thing. But I like to use this little saying down here, and I bet you kind of remember this when I start. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. If we remember this saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, that tells me what order I have to do my operations in when I'm looking at an expression. So remember, please stands for parentheses. Excuse stands for those exponents, those little small numbers right there. My stands for multiply. Dear stands for division. Aunt stands for addition. And Sally is subtraction. Now, one more thing that we have to be careful of, notice I made this little mark by multiplication and division and addition and subtraction. If we have an equation that has both multiplication and division, we just do whichever one comes first. So you don't necessarily have to do multiply before divide. If both of these are in my equation, I just do whichever one comes first. Same thing with addition and subtraction. I don't always have to do addition before subtraction. If I have an equation that has addition and subtraction in it, I just do whichever one comes first. And we'll kind of talk more about that as we get into examples of those. But remember, these two can flip-flop the order. Multiplication and division, addition, subtraction, whichever one comes first in those groups is the ones that I actually do first. So let's look at number 1 here. It says, consider the expression 12 divided by 5 plus 2. Which operation is done first, division or addition? So looking up here at my expression, which thing would I do first if I were to solve that? Would I add first or would I divide first? I always have to do parentheses first. So inside the parentheses is addition. So the addition is the first thing that I would do because it's in the parentheses. Now, they want me to write this expression into words, just like we were doing. We always want to start with what we do first. So the first thing we need to do is inside the parentheses. So how would I tell someone they need to do that first? I might say, add 5 and 2. So I'm going to write that in words. Pretend like you're telling someone what to do. Add 5 and 2. And then if we have a second step, which we do here, I always put and then I tell them what their second step would be. So add 5 and 2, and then divide that by 12. Divide that by 12. So just putting down in words how I would solve that expression. We're not actually solving it. We're just practicing with reading how you would say it and writing it down in words. So let's do a couple more of those. The next section says, write an expression for the words. Okay, so they're going to give me the words. I have to write it down with numbers and symbols. So multiply the sum of P and 3 by 0.1. All right, we have 3 numbers here. And I have 2 key words. I have multiply, which I know that means to multiply, and I have sum. Now we might forget what sum means, so remember I can flip back to my keywords here. Sum means I am doing addition. So I'm going to be adding. Now the trickiest part here is getting everything where it needs to go. It says multiply the sum of P and 3 by 0.1. The sum of P and 3. So I know I'm doing P plus 3. And then I'm going to multiply that by 0.1. Now, they need to do the addition part first. So I'm going to go back and put parentheses around P plus 3 because they have to do that part first. Multiply the sum of P plus 3 times 0.1. All right, let's try one more. It says divide 36 by 4 and then add 3. So I'm circling my numbers first. Then I'm going to look for my keywords. I see divide, which obviously tells me I'm going to do division. And then I see add, which tells me I need to do addition. Divide 36 by 4. Okay, so 36 divided by 4. That's what that would look like with numbers. And then add 3. So, and then add 3. And my first step should be the division. So I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around that so that they know they should do that first. Divide 36 by 4, do that, and then add 3 after you get that done. Remember, no equal sign because we're not really solving. We're just writing it as an expression. Alrighty, let's scooch on down to a couple more examples down here before we call it good for our notes. These say write the computation in words. So now we're going to go backwards from what we were just doing. They're going to give us the expression. We have to put it into words. So let's start with what we have to do first. What do we need to do first in number 4? The parentheses. So how would I write this in words? Well, I see I'm doing addition. I'm going to look for a keyword back here. I kind of like sum. I think I'm going to use the word sum this time. So I'm going to say, find the sum of 2.1 and 1.2. That's their first step. They're going to find the sum of 2.1 and 1.2. And then, remember, I always put that before I go to my second step. And then subtract from 3.5. So find the sum of 2 and 1.2 and then subtract from 3.5. Perfect. I think I said we have addition and multiplication going on here. Which one of those would I do first, addition or multiplication? Well, if I look up here on my order of operations, multiplication, addition. Multiplication comes first, so we need to multiply first. Multiply first. So I'm going to use those words first. I'm going to say multiply 3/4 and t, because those are the two things I need to multiply. And then I need to put my second step into words. So I would multiply 3/4 and t and then add 1/2 to that. So I would multiply 3/4 and t and then add 1/2 to that answer that I got. Okay? Not solving any of these, just using my keywords to put it into words or to put it into numbers with symbols. One last time, I'm going to put those keywords up here. If you need to pause the video so that you can have those as you do your assignment, you may. Do your very best. Bye.